Hey everybody, CalviNNatioN here with another video for you. In today's video, I am shirtless. Usually I'd be flipping knives with a shirt on. Why do I have it off today? Well, I want to talk about surgery I had about 3 years ago now almost. I believe it was May 5th of 2011 I had this surgery. It's called the Nuss procedure. I just wanted to talk about it because I think along with most surgeries, especially this one, something that affects your look so much. I think it's very important for guys like me who have done the whole surgery to come on YouTube and give my story to people who have Pectus Excavatum, maybe people who don't even have it and are curious about it, maybe parents of kids who have it, or maybe your friend has it and you're wondering what it is. Hopefully for people who don't have it, they can learn to be a bit more sensitive to people who do, understand what it is, and for people who do have it, hopefully I can give them some confidence in what it will look like after the surgery, and just tell you that, you know, you're perfectly fine the way you are, and don't feel bad about wanting to change it. This is not plastic surgery. This is something that really can deteriorate your mental view of yourself. Now, I didn't really struggle with it too much until I was probably like in high school. I grew up in very positive friendships, relationships in school, so I didn't really have too many people talk about it. Often, well, sometimes in like the change room and gym, people would mention it or like poke it and be like, "What is that?" And obviously they're just kind of playing. They're not actually making fun of me. No one was actually like, "Ha, you got like a hole in your chest." But I'm sure some people do have that, and don't feel bad about wanting to change it. It's not a good look, and I can see totally, especially because I did it, why people want it changed. So if you don't know what this is and you're wondering what the heck I'm talking about, essentially Pectus Excavatum, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward term for it. It's where your sternum actually caves in towards the back. So imagine like if I'm standing sideways here, if I put my fingers right up to my sternum, they'd actually probably go in that far. So it's just essentially just a big excavation in your chest, and that's caused by what I assume. I never really looked up the whole scientific details on it, but I assume that it's caused by a deformation in the cartilage. Essentially your ribs are binded to your sternum, I believe, by cartilage, so in my opinion it must be that the cartilage isn't quite right. The sternum caves in along with the ribs. The surgery, what happens is they pop a bar in your side. You can see I have a scar here and a scar here, and there was a little one down here, right there. That's just for like a camera or something, I believe. But they pop a bar in, shoot it across, flip it out. It's actually pretty crazy. If you watch the surgery, the bar is obviously curved like this, right? Because that's the formation of your chest. So they actually slide it in, I believe, so it's curved down this way, and then they go whoop, and then they pop the sternum out. So the cool thing about this surgery is the second you have it done, like the second they put the bar in, my chest has looked this way since literally surgery. It's not like it tweaks over time and slowly the hole decreases. It's straight up hole and then no hole. So it's really cool when you wake up. But yeah, I just want to give my story, tell you guys, you know, what it'll feel like, what the 2 years afterwards is like, or 2.5, 3 years. I know it's probably already long already, but bear with me. I'll probably ramble a lot, but hey, whatever. So yeah, so surgery I had May 5th, 2011, I believe. It is now April like 16th, 2014. Bar's out. It came out last November. What happens when you wake up? It's funny. For me, personally, supposedly a lot of people really struggle with the anesthesia, like they'll wake up and not know where the heck they are. So I didn't have any of that, but it was funny when I woke up. I was sort of just like, what's going on? And then I was just like, oh right, had surgery, blah blah blah. But the funny thing was, it took me like 2 or 3 minutes to actually look at my chest. I was like, oh wait, I just had surgery, so let's look at it. And then my chest is fully healed. Well, not fully healed, I mean I'm in incredible pain. But yeah, it was nice and flat, so it was beautiful. Now the pain you're going to have to deal with is quite severe. For me, I think it was quite a bit more than most people, especially because I really do feel I have a high pain tolerance. But I was in the hospital for about 4 days. The hospital was actually sort of one of the easier parts for me because you're really pumped with a lot of painkillers. I didn't really have a whole lot of pain for the first 2 days or so, but they start to wean you off of painkillers and then just put you on like your oxycontins and stuff, which are very dangerous. So definitely when you do go on your pain meds, really take care. Thankfully, the pain is so severe that you're never getting to the point where if you take painkillers, unless you really abuse it, that the painkiller is going to exceed the amount of pain you have. In fact, when I took the recommended amount of painkillers, I still had a lot of pain. So you could never get sort of a high or anything off that, but really watch out for OxyContins if you're sort of an addictive personality. There's a lot of horror stories about that. But yeah, the pain is quite severe. And then it gets worse, for me at least, when I got home. Now again, like I said, I'm making this video for people who want to have this done, or maybe who have Pectus Excavatum. Don't be scared by the pain because it's all worth it in the end. It's been a few months since I've had the bar removal, and I've finally got to work out for at least the last 2 months, and I've gained probably 6 or 7 pounds of muscle. You know, I'm not huge. I'm only 176-ish, 177, and I'm 6'3" almost, so I'm a skinny dude. But yeah, you can see that mine was fairly nice, and just getting back on the point of post-surgery, the months after surgery are going to be pretty rough. I was, again, bedridden probably until August. Like, that's when I could really start kind of moving around, maybe bike. But I really think mine was a bit worse because I have seen a lot of people who get back to their kind of normal routine in like 2-3 weeks. But I think most people will be a lot like me, where it really takes like months to fully recover. And even then, you could be like me and take the entire 2.5 years to actually feel good. And the reason why it takes 2.5 years is because when I got out, that's actually when I actually felt good. I'll just kind of flash forward for a sec, and I'll probably come back, go forward and all that. I'll be bouncing around. The reason why it hurt for all 2.5 years for me was because I think it shifted a little. Well, it did shift. I don't know when it did. But I noticed like kind of September, the first September after my surgery, so just like 4 months later or whatever, I was feeling pretty good. There was times where I could sneeze and there was like almost no pain, which you'll know if you've had surgery or if you're going to have the surgery, or once you have it, that sneezing is essentially the most painful thing of having this surgery. So yeah, it was actually fairly pain-free at times, and then November came around, I got severely like pain again. So much so that I could have gone right back on like a full pain medication prescription, like OxyContins or something. But I got some Tylenol 3s, which help a little bit, but barely do anything for me. I don't know what that was. I think it maybe was just sort of the first part of like winter. You'll notice that if you get it in the summer when winter rolls around, you'll probably get some pretty bad pain at first, because I think it's sort of adjustment. Sorry, that's my sump pump in the basement here. But yeah, I think cold can really affect it. Rainy cold especially, where you get wet and cold, because that's the cold that'll really affect you the most. And yeah, I'm also a construction worker, so I went back to construction afterwards, but that was almost a year afterwards, and I think possibly the repetitive motion of construction and using muscles in the wrong way probably did some damage, because what had happened is my bar had shifted. Thankfully not enough for them to like have to go in there and fix it. So what happens is there's a full bar that goes across right here, and then right on the sides here there's a stabilizer. So these stabilizers are like connected to the ribs, and then the bar is like wired onto those stabilizers. And what happened was one of my stabilizers had like popped up from under my rib and kind of like went over top of my rib. So that's why it's so much pain on my left side. If you feel any pain in your sides, like real crazy, especially far after your surgery, definitely talk to your doctor about it, and he will probably go, or your surgeon, and he'll probably be like, oh, you're fine, it's just normal pain. But if it's really bad like mine was, mention to him maybe my story about how the stabilizer had shifted, because I went and saw my doctor I think twice before surgery, or before the bar removal, and he would just be like, yeah, that's normal, and all that. So if you can feel the pain, you know your body, and you know something's not right, talk to him about it and be frank with him. Don't just be like, he's a surgeon, he knows what he's doing. I mean, he does the surgery, but he hasn't had the issue. He hasn't had Pectus Excavatum, so really you know more about it than he does, i.e. pain and in the way it looks and all that. It's your body. But yeah, what else can I talk about? And then it was just sort of from like, I don't know, first year to the end of the 2.5 years, it was always just constant. If I lay down, weird pain. If it gets cold, for like really, really cold, and maybe I wasn't bundled up enough, pain. You'll probably feel that if you're anything like me. And again, that might be mostly due to the problem I had here. But yeah, you're going to have that pain. And I'm also a tree planter. I go up north and I plant trees. I had some really, really severe pain as well, where I needed to bring Tylenol 3s up there to cope with it. So yeah, you're going to have a lot of pain from time to time. What else can I talk about? Sorry, I didn't really get prepared for this at all. I just wanted to share my experiences. I feel like sort of it's better when you kind of freehand it or whatever, freestyle it instead of trying to like make a script or something. But yeah, as you can see, rib flare, that's a good thing to talk about. A lot of people probably worry about rib flare, people with Pectus Excavatum. If I stand up real straight, shoulders back, you can see I have rib flare. And there's not a ton of it. Thankfully, before I actually did surgery, I didn't have a ton of rib flare. I have seen people where it really goes out. And unfortunately, that probably won't change for you. I think the surgeon might have even mentioned to me, and don't quote me on this, but I think it can actually get worse after surgery, because I essentially almost had none, no rib flare down here. And then after surgery now you can notice it. And this is very, very hard to fix. You can get braces. Working out can help it. Increasing your core strength and everything will help it. And posture will also help it. Now, obviously, good posture, standing up nice and tall, shoulders back, and that's when I see my rib flare. So I do have to say my posture is probably not always great, because I'm sort of trying to hide that rib flare. Shoulders forward, tightening my abs a little. So yeah, that's one thing that does suck about this. Also, just know that it's probably not going to be perfect. Don't go into this surgery thinking you're going to come out looking like, you know, your best friend who's like really jacked or something. You're always going to have some issues that you'll be able to see that at one point you did have a huge hole in your chest. Thankfully, with most of us, probably after surgery, if you're walking around on the pool or the beach or just shirtless or at the gym or whatever, I don't think a single person would be able to look at me and be like, he had Pectus Excavatum, like just some normal person. Even people who have had Pectus Excavatum, I highly doubt if they looked at me, they'd be like, oh yeah, he had that. Maybe if they saw my scars, sure. But yeah, you should be able to come out of your surgery looking pretty much normal, and that's a great feeling. After I had it, it was just, it felt so good. I don't know if I talk too much about my self-consciousness about it. People would mention it from time to time. Again, not crazy, no one would really make fun of it, but I couldn't be shirtless, even walking around like in the comfort of my own home. Even just like hiding it from my family, I'd hide it from them. Like you know, you walk around the house and I'd just be like, you know, like that, walking like this, or like, obviously I'm not always walking shirtless. Like if I was just going to the shower, coming out of the shower or something, have my towel there, and that's when you know you should change it. Like when you look at yourself in the mirror and you're actually like trying to hide it from your own eyes. Like I'd have that sometimes. I'd come out of the shower, look at myself in the mirror, and I notice I'm like going like this, because even I didn't want to see it. So if you ever worry at all about like feeling like if you change it you're doing the wrong thing, because like that's how you were raised, like maybe you feel like there's sort of like a plastic surgery-esque type of like stigma like on it, there's none. I mean, this is a problem, like a genetic issue that I think should be fixed, especially for some people who have really bad breathing problems as well with it. I didn't have such bad breathing problems. Some people, their sternum and rib cage is actually pressing up against their lungs, and they have breathing problems, and I assume some people also could have heart issues. And also, with anyone who has Pectus Excavatum, I assume it's a lot weaker. So if you get in an accident or any serious trauma, having all those bones so close to the heart and lungs, that's a really, really bad thing. So don't ever feel guilty about having it changed. I assume most people don't, but I could see how that might be a problem for you. You might think, this is naturally how I was born. I shouldn't change it. But I think changing it is the best thing to do because it can only help self-confidence. There's no plastic involved. It's not plastic surgery. It's not considered a cosmetic, or is it? I don't think it's considered a cosmetic surgery at all. So yeah, don't feel like there's any stigma around getting it fixed. It can only help you out. I feel so good about it now. I'm still self-conscious about my body here and there, but who isn't, right? So yeah, that's one thing I really wanted to point out, is just don't feel guilty about it. It's something that you will really be happy you did afterwards. If you're worried about, if you're like on the edge of doing this just because of pain, honestly, 2.5 years to 3 years isn't a ton of your life. I've said if it didn't work out, I probably wouldn't do it again. But honestly, now that I think about it and see that it did work out, if it didn't, I think I would, because really 3 years and a whole lot of pain isn't crazy. You're gonna live hopefully a long time, and 3 years to give up to have a nice chest, from a big hole to a nice chest, I think that's well worth it. So if you're maybe on the edge, oh, it's gonna hurt, maybe I shouldn't do it, but you still feel really self-conscious about it, get it done. You'll really be happy you did. What else can I say? Might as well talk a little bit about the bar removal. I had mine in November, and I was a little bit scared because afterwards I had a bit of recession. But we'll talk about just quickly the bar removal first. It's pretty easy. You go in. Surprisingly, it actually takes longer to remove the bar than to put it in, because there's so much, like, scar tissue is one of the hardest things in your body. It's crazy, even just feeling this, it's very hard. And it binds itself to the bar, so they really got to work away and dig away. Sorry to be sort of graphic, but they got to dig away and cut away at it to actually get it pulled out from your natural skin and all that. So that's pretty gross, but it actually takes quite a while. I think it's like 2.5 hours for the post, or the bar removal. And they have to go in through both sides for that as well, so they're going to have to reopen those same cuts you had. You can see mine are quite pronounced. That's because I'm a picker. I like picking at my scabs, unfortunately. And there was also, I didn't think there was stitches. I thought it was just the steri strips. So after the steri strips came off, I was like, what the heck is that? And there was like internal stitches. And I sort of picked at those, so I really screwed it up. But I really don't care about scars. Like, some of you may be worried about this as well for scarring. Really, you should have almost zero issues with scarring. Even mine, even though I picked at it, they probably will pretty much fully go away in time. And scars are cool, aren't they? Right? I think so. Now you got a story. When you're on the beach, someone can ask you what happened. You can give them a bogus story. Say you were saving someone's life out of a car accident, and I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. But yeah, post-bar removal. Thankfully, for most people, especially me, I didn't have near as much pain after the bar removal instead compared to putting the bar in. Surprisingly, though, they still they gave me the Oxycontin, which are, again, very strong. And I didn't use them all, and we actually got rid of them because it's just dangerous to have them in the house when you don't need them. Because maybe you have a little bit of pain, you put one in, you start to get a little like high or something, and you don't want that because it's very easy to get addicted to those, like I said. Alright, so unknowingly, I just got cut off by my camera. I can only film 20 minutes at a time. Battery is dying. Hopefully I can get this done without it cutting me off again. But yeah, post-bar removal, talk about that for a sec. It was quite rough. It's actually a lot more painful right afterwards than the first one, because the first one you're hopped up on so much pain medication. Right when you get home, you're swollen like crazy. I think I might have a picture. My side was probably freaking out to like it was like 2 inches out on both sides. It's annoying because you sort of have to walk around the house like this. You're like, boop. And your shirt, if you wear a shirt, often it's nice to go shirtless actually, because if you wear a shirt, you're just rubbing the big bandages they put across. And they also put steri strips across. I thought there was only the steri strips. They're just like an external kind of bandage, a lot more tougher of a bandage. And those just end up coming off on their own through the shower or whatever. But they also put like internal stitches in, which I didn't know about that. So, and again, sorry, the thing cut me off, so I don't remember what I said exactly. But if I did repeat this, whatever, the stitches were out there. I picked at them. That's the reason why my scars are quite showing. So yeah, but yeah, they give you Oxycontins again, or at least that's what they gave me, which was pretty crazy, I thought, because I only really needed it for a week, and they probably gave me like 2 weeks worth, so we ended up just getting rid of them because they are very dangerous. But yeah, you're going to have a lot of swelling, crazy swelling. You're going to have to walk weird, like I say. But it's really, really nice to know that there's no more bar in you. I remember even just the first night, had some painkillers in me, so there wasn't really a whole lot of pain, but I remember just sitting on the couch and being like, there's no bar. Like, there's no more bar in there. I don't have any more, like, really serious side pain. Like, it's swollen, but that'll go down, and I'll be able to run, and I'll be able to jump. Because, again, for me personally, I really couldn't work out. Construction, kept me in shape. Tree planting kept me in shape. But I couldn't do, like, heavy lifting. Just for me personally, that was out of the question. It was too sore. The only thing I could really do was biceps, and even then, I could only do it just from time to time. But yeah, I think I mentioned before I started this extra clip here that I was worried post-bar removal, because there was a time about 2 months after surgery, almost 2 months after surgery, where it actually went in a little bit. You might realize that right after surgery, your sternum collapses just a tiny bit. That's normal. But the weird thing with mine was that it took like almost 2 months for it to happen. I was feeling good, everything was back to normal, I'm starting to finally work out like all my muscle groups, and all of a sudden I feel some pain right here, which was really weird because like I didn't have any pain here even right after the first surgery. I don't know why, you'd think you'd have a lot of pain here because that's what's actually affected, that's what they're fixing. But all my pain was here. So when I got pain 2 months after the bar removal, right in the center of my chest, and there's no more bar in there, that can only mean one thing, right? And that could mean that it must be moving or sinking or whatever. It's moving in some sort of fashion that's causing pain. That can be the only thing. It's the only thing running through my mind. And over 2 weeks or so, I do notice it goes in maybe a quarter, more than that, maybe like 3/8 of an inch. It went in. Now my assumption is most surgeons will actually sort of overdo your surgery, so they put the bar in, and they make it so your chest is almost protruding a tiny bit. Like mine would have gone perfectly straight across. You can see there's that dip. It would have been like perfectly straight across, and now, yeah, if I like sort of breathe in, there's about a finger width of room that it receded. So I was like, okay, obviously it'll go back in a little bit, that's okay. But why didn't that happen right away, like right after the bar was out? So that's why I was so freaked out. Because, like, why would it happen 2 months later? But thankfully, I called the surgeon up. I was like, hey, can we have a meet-up, talk about this? And yeah, we talked about it, and funny enough, pretty much the day I went to see him, which is about 2 weeks after I started feeling the pain, the day I went to see him, I hardly had any pain, so I was like, okay, that's good. And then he's like, yeah, it's probably fine, like, I really think yours is going to be good. He really liked how it worked out. He said I was sort of like kind of on the higher end of like the the end result. Like mine does look pretty good, and I'm very happy with it again. But like I was saying, he was saying that yeah, he hasn't really heard too much of like a little bit of recession happening 2 months after. Usually it happens right after. But he said I should be fine, and just like he said, a couple days later, pretty much zero pain. Kept working out, and I think it's almost 3 months after that now, and no more recession. Finally started working out even more. Probably gained a good 5, 6, 7 pounds, thankfully, and gonna keep working out. I think it's a pretty unanimous decision that after you have your brow removal, and if you can, right after surgery, really try to bulk up, hide any imperfections that you still may have, get that core working, and you know, I'm not trying to say like I'm really strong or anything, because I'm not. I'm just really in the starting processes of working out. But yeah, I've noticed quite a bit difference in just the last few months, and just do your best to just keep on top of your routines, and you can have a really, really nice looking chest. So alright guys, so that's the video. Thanks again for watching. If you stayed all the way through, thanks so much. Thanks for bearing with me. One last thing I want to say again, just to reiterate the fact that, you know what, no matter what, we're beautiful, you're beautiful, even if you have Pectus Excavatum. I know it's something you're going to feel self-conscious about, and don't feel bad if you want to change it. But yeah, don't worry. There's people out there who experience the same thing as you. I know I did. And if you're someone who has Pectus Excavatum, you want to have the Nuss surgery, hopefully this helped, and post a comment, tell me your story, and I'll get back to you for sure. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Really, really appreciate it.